This is, what, a while ago? I think August 13th. So just 6 days ago. All the Argentina markets are crumbling. So Argentina's elections, there's primary elections, and because the right-wing government, Mauricio Macri, so Macri is the one who's controlling Argentina now, right? Because, of course, we're going to pay attention to Argentina and Bolivia and, Peru. We're going to pay attention to the Central American elections, not just to Britain and, Kentucky. A Republican voted for a Republican governor. That's not going to tell us jack shit. But look what's going on in Argentina. So the stock markets are tumbling because socialism is on its way to the Western Hemisphere. So right-wing Mauricio Macri's government was defeated on Sunday in Argentina's primary elections with one-term incumbent receiving 32% of the vote, while his left-wing challenger Alberto Fernandez received more than 47%. So that's a wide gap. That's 15%. There's going to be a runoff election, but typically with a gap that big, Mauricio Macri is most likely out. So the Venezuelan stock markets, Wall Street, and the corporations and the money interest in Argentina are getting nervous that there might be a socialist. Oh, shit, there might be a socialist. So is Alberto Fernandez even a socialist? No. He is, I think left of center like most politicians are. And even the one that they're going to compare him to is, pretty left of center too. So you had Kirchner, okay? So Cristina Kirchner was the president of Argentina for 8 years from 2007 to 2015. Cristina Kirchner is the vice president, the running mate to the left-wing challenger, Alberto Fernandez. So Alberto Fernandez, he's the president, but his running mate, the vice president, is Cristina Kirchner. And so the Argentina markets are now saying, oh, shit, Cristina Kirchner is going to be in there. And again, she's not a socialist. There was a couple things. Hugo Chavez was a socialist. And then there was Dilma Rousseff. I think, she was pretty big when it comes to like guerrilla warfare and shit. So there's just a lot of leftist governments that was being elected, Bolivia and some other countries. And so this about 10, 20 years ago, this is under Hugo Chavez. So Hugo Chavez, he, is in the South America, right? And so it's a pink wave. They're essentially saying that look at all these socialistic, these communistic, presidents being elected into the southern, Americas. So they called it a pink wave. Cristina Kirchner was a part of that pink wave, 2007 to 2015. I don't remember hearing any shit coming out of Argentina for those 8 years. Oh no, socialism is going to crash everything. Norway, Sweden, Denmark, they're all doing good. So what happened under Mauricio Macri? Why didn't Mauricio Macri lose? Well, the variables of the macroeconomy went down, lots of variables, so it's the economy's stupid. Inflation went from 25 to 50%. Dollar went from 15 pesos to 45 pesos, maybe 60 soon, so that's intense inflation. That's 300% inflation. Poverty increased from 30% to 34%. The debt to the IMF multiplied, and they've fallen into a deeper recession. So that's what the right-wing government of Mauricio Macri has brought Argentina, just an absolute shit show for an economy, right? Lots of inflation, dollar ain't worth, their peso ain't worth shit, they're getting lots, poor are getting poorer, rich are getting richer, debt to the IMF, so they're just getting further and further in debt, they're in a recession, so they got a lot of, Jesus Christ, who the fuck would ever, who says, it's crazy that the stock market would, be afraid of Kirchnerism, but Mauricio Macri, who, is fucking over their own currency, fucking over the poor, fucking over their debt and the future generations, fucking over the whole economy because there's a recession, fucking over everybody with this crazy amount of inflation, and yet they're going to tumble. The Argentina markets are going to tumble. Why? Because you might actually get some stable currency and a stable... Jesus, fuck. So, Alberto Fernandez, congratulations to Alberto Fernandez and Cristina Kirchner. This is great news. If Argentina is any indication of what's going to happen in 2020, Bernie Sanders is going to win. Bernie Sanders is going to beat all the Democrats, and he's going to beat Trump. So another reason, this is just a small little aside, but the primaries are open to everybody, so everybody essentially can vote in the primaries and vote for whoever they want to, and so there's not going to be much variation when it comes to the general election. And I think the general election is still, ways away. Yeah, October 27th, so not too far. So when it comes to October 27th, in just 1.5 months from now, 2.5 months, there's going to be a general election between Mauricio Macri and Alberto Fernandez, but all indications point to Alberto Fernandez winning. So Mauricio Macri is going to have to pull a rabbit out of his hat, or his political career is done, at least for the next 4 years. So because the primaries are open to everybody, most likely in October 27th, when that general election comes around, Alberto Fernandez is going to be the president of Venezuela, and then Cristina Kirchner is going to be the vice president. And it'll probably be by a bigger margin than just the 47% to the 32% spread, which isn't huge, but it's not a big difference, and 47% isn't a majority, right? So there's actually 30% out there. And so, it's only what? A 15% spread, 30% out there? That's enough to change the game. So this isn't over. If I'm Alberto Fernandez and Cristina Kirchner, I wouldn't quit. I'm still, giving interviews and talking to folks and going around spreading my message. But, this is just conventional wisdom. Conventional wisdom says that in Argentina, most likely, Alberto Fernandez is going to win. So, it's possible. Anything's possible. Mauricio Macri might not. But so far, and so when it comes to the October 27th general election, when Alberto Fernandez wins, that's an indication that the United States is going to vote for Bernie Sanders. Now, the victor of the Alberto Fernandez campaign, Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner, CFK for short, what this implies is more of a turn towards the left-center through a Peronist coalition than a return of Kirchnerism. So you're not actually getting Kirchnerism. I think Peron was a pretty popular leader in Argentina too. So they're saying it's going to be more of a Peronism than it is Kirchnerism. So that's an interesting distinction. I think it's important to know precisely who your politicians are. So Bernie Sanders isn't really, don't even call him socialist, just call him FDR. Bernie Sanders is FDR reincarnated. He's not a Eugene Debs, he's not a Karl Marx, he's not a, Lenin or Trotsky or any of those bunch. He's a Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He's a New Deal Democrat. Socialist, yeah, that's what he calls himself, and that's radical, and that's so titillating, right? But, yeah, Cristina Kirchner is the president of Argentina for 8 years, 2007, and she's the vice president, so she's not going to have much of a role. So really, who the fuck is this Alberto Fernandez? So just being afraid of Kirchnerism, oh no, there's going to be more socialistic, more leftist, more sort of people that care about the poor. Oh no, we're going to have people that care about the poor and the economy apparently, since, old Mauricio Macri don't give a flying fuck about the economy of Argentina. So yeah, good news from around the world. Bernie Sanders is going to be president come November 2020. Hell yeah!